Yeah,
Morning, Luke.
good morning.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. And
Uh,
yourself?
yeah, excellent. Second week of training. How's it going?
It's going very well. Particularly the sports science team have mapped everything out. Um, we're following very much um, the sports science in terms of like physically what the boys are doing, but we're also able to get plenty of football specific work in as well. So far everything has run very slick.
How are the new players settling in?
They seem to be settling in very well. I think everybody has worked hard over the summer. I don't think any of the group that we have got the type of old school mentality where they do nothing at all over the summer and come back a stone overweight. Those
Like
days I
us.
think have gone,
Like
particularly with
us.
this group. I'm sure there are some still around, but certainly we don't have those guys with us. They're all very professional and have come in and hit the ground running, literally.
It's really interesting what you talked about the way that training's mapped out up until the point that you play your first game. So presumably in these early stages, it is about fitness. The fitness is a big part of it. The kind of the training would lean towards that, and then gradually build in, tactics, football, everything that's going on.
No, that's it. You're completely right. And most of us that done pre-season training maybe 20 years ago, our understanding was that you run to oblivion until you can't feel your legs and you're violently sick, and then after 6 weeks of that you touch a ball and you feel like complete strangers. But that those days, certainly at MK Dons anyway, those days are gone. And we have guys like Matt Wilmot, who's you know he's put everything together so that it's relevant to modern day footballers. He's put everything together that means that the coaching staff have slots available for football training, um, the specific stuff, and it all works seamlessly together. It's about trying to work in a way that you're going to work during the season. It's about repeating the type of physical movements and so on that you're going to do during the games of football, rather than running in straight lines and then suddenly you're expected to turn and jump and twist and so on.
And every player is different, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of specific stuff in the program now as well, which it's taken a considerable amount of work for the guys to sort that out, and it's something that has to be monitored as we go along. So certain players respond more quickly and others don't. So it's quite a body of work that's been put together. It's quite impressive, really.
And Sam Nombe's moved on now, and hopefully can reignite his career after a difficult year at Luton.
No, that's right, and we wish Sam all the best. He's got real qualities as a player, and just because your qualities are not matched up with the type required from a certain club at that time doesn't reflect necessarily on yourself as a player. And I think that's certainly the true for Sam, that he has qualities that are going to be put to great use. And I think now he's had a painful experience that many young strikers go through. Even Harry Kane. It's well documented his struggles with early loans from Tottenham. But it all stands you in good stead as long as you can keep in the race and keep learning from each experience.
I'm going to put something to you now that my colleagues who are in on this Zoom call might laugh at me. You may well laugh at me, but I was watching the England game the other night, and I just, in my head, I thought there are real similarities with the way that England play, in the way that you and Russ and the team have tried to get MK Dons to play, in as much as patient build up from the back, building from the back, trying to be as defensive as possible, and every player knowing their role. Are you going to laugh in my face, or have I seen something right?
No, I think we take that as a compliment, and if we put the raw statistics side by side, there are there are similarities that you cannot ignore because the numbers are very similar in certain aspects of the game. We watched every single goal from England's qualifying campaign just yesterday, and just as a part of, just for our own research really as coaching staff. And it seems that almost all of the goals are involving the same 2 or 3 players, the likes of Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane. They feature extremely heavily, and I think that the point is that the structure that they play with, the structure that we try to play with at MK Dons, is a way of trying to move the ball from one end of the pitch to the other in a secure way. But when we get to that business end of the pitch, then there's a certain element that we can no longer control because it comes down to individuals with a high level of talent. And of course, we had that at MK Dons for periods of time, and there's other periods when we lost certain key players, or we didn't have certain key players in the building, and we weren't able to finish so many actions off that we probably deserved to. And I think at the beginning, probably of last season, there was certain players that found it difficult to defend within the structure that we put in place. And again, you're seeing with the England team, there's guys defending extremely high up the pitch. They're defending. There's been several actions, as I'm sure you've seen yourself, where the likes of Carl Walker, John Stones, Harry Maguire, they're defending midway in the opposition's half. This is uncharted territory for a traditional centre back in most teams. But these are the type of actions that we're seeing at MK Dons as well, and it does require a certain level of sort of expertise. And as time goes on, some players maybe cannot function within that. And again, that, like we were talking about with Sam Nombe, certain players will have strengths that will be required in other teams, and they'll be able to put those to. But the manager here, as we know, we're all very lucky because the manager has a very clear way that he wants us to play, and it's about us coaching staff trying to give the players all the information, and it's about the players then trying to master those roles and become expert at them. And I think we're now seeing a very well sorted England team where players are playing in a system that they understand, and they're becoming more and more accustomed to that system. And I think that's why we're seeing a slick performance with a lot of goals.
That was also a Russell Martin length answer, I have to say, to a question, which is nice. And I suppose the other thing that Gareth Ainsworth said that I picked up on, and not necessarily to do with MK Dons, but for every football club, is they just won 4-0, and he was talking about the importance of the players that weren't on the pitch, the importance of the squad, the importance of, how do I speak to those players that haven't played, and how do I keep them happy, I suppose, and keep them part of it. But that's all part of why England are successful at the moment, isn't it? Because those players who aren't on the pitch are buying into the process.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think rather than players sitting and watching and thinking, well, when I get on there, I'll do this and I'll do that. They're watching and thinking, okay, that player is fulfilling the role, and if I come on, I will fulfil the same role with my individual characteristics within that. Rather than changing players that do completely different things. And then not having continuity. It seems very much to me that the players know that when they go on, there's certain things that are non-negotiable that they have to do, and then there is, of course, some wriggle room for them to put their own unique thing, onto the pitch as well. But again, similarities that we want the players to understand that there's certain rules that we adhere to as a team because we absolutely believe they're fundamental, and then we want the players to have license within moments in the game to show their individual characteristics. And I think that does help. I think it really helps to bond a group, and I'm seeing the same things that you're seeing, that it's a group of England players that feel like they are putting the team first, and they're going to try and add a little bit of something that's unique to them.
I think it's kind of weird for all of us to see England at the moment. Anyway, moving away from England. Just a final question from me about the transfer market. Obviously, you brought in some players, and presumably that's ongoing. Is there any movement? Are we expecting any more ins, and are we expecting any more outs, Luke?
Yeah, I think that first of all, we're in a far better place than we were this time last year. I think it's been fantastic how aggressive we've been to try and do business early, and I think that will continue. I don't think there's anything juicy that I can give you at the moment that's about to drop, but we are very much in the market, and we are speaking to other clubs and to players. As you know, these things take time to sort out, and that process we've got people taking part in negotiation all the time whilst we're at the training pitch, and so yeah, there will definitely be more movement for sure.
Appreciate your time. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
I assume it's fair to assume that it's going to be strikers that will be top of the wish list at the moment, given your considerable shortage.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, we know that we need to bring in more players at the top of the pitch, and things are promising in terms of like I say, we've got negotiations going on at the moment, so we're very optimistic that we'll see players coming in very soon, so that we can try to work with them before the friendlies towards the end of the pre-season. Where we get to have a real sort of look at what the team might look like on the opening day. So we are getting closer on that front.
It must be nice in that sense, because so often when you come into a team or you look to try and rebuild, often it appears to be that the defence is where you need to look. Then you start looking at the midfield perhaps, and with the signings that you've already made and the players that you recruited over the last 12 months or so, all of that now seems to be in place, and it is just those attacking, goal scoring players that you need to look for, and it's not like another key component further back.
No, I agree with that, and we're speaking about styles of play and formations and whatever, and I think that we had the goalkeeper very consistent. Warren, obviously, before he picked up an injury, very consistent. Obviously, Dean Lewington is he's a freak of nature. He just never gets injured and plays brilliantly all the time. Zach Jules, we were able to get minutes on the pitch for Zach. Harry Darling, we were able to get plenty of minutes into Harry. So we have that group there that really should give us a good foundation, and they know what's coming. They know what positions they're going to find themselves in on the pitch. They are going to continue to work in training to practice those type of scenarios over and over again. But that gives us a good solid base, hopefully, to build from and to be able to protect the goal. And now we need to try to look at the top end of the pitch to see if we can hurt the opposition more.
You mentioned Warren O'Hora there. I've got his name written down in front of me. How's he recovered from the surgery and from the injury at the end of last season?
No, he's been brilliant in terms of his rehabilitation. He's done absolutely everything to the letter and pushed himself. So he's come back. He's just started to train with the group now. Doesn't look like he's missed a single day. It's really a credit to him. It's a grueling thing when people are having their break over the summer and you're still really working hard, and he's took all that in his stride. So we're very pleased with the progress, and I should think a few more sessions he'll be able to take part in absolutely everything that the squad are doing.
And just finally from me, you've obviously got a new coach working alongside you, Matt Gill. I suppose in these situations, it's not necessarily about taking workload off you per se, and it's going to be about giving you the opportunity to maybe fine tune what you guys work with. You're still working at 100%, but maybe you can all focus a little bit more on little individual areas.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and we've already seen the whole process of planning training and who's going to do what, or finding, like you say, finding time to do certain bits. We already finding that's working well for us, and it's helping us to hit more things on a daily basis, more subjects, more more things that we need to. So that's all working very well, and that will continue to be a huge help to us going forward.
Nice one, thanks, Luke.
Luke, you spoke about the sports science helping to map out all the training sessions in pre-season. How does this year's pre-season compare to last year's, where everything was a lot more restricted?
Yeah, it's hard to compare. It was so different. I mean, we were working groups of 4 or 5, and we were having to do the same session 3 times a day, which with the best will in the world, it becomes very tough. When you've been out all day, there wasn't even a shelter for us. We didn't have an area to go inside, so the coaching staff were pretty much on the pitch side all day. So it was exhausting. We definitely didn't get the quality of working that we wanted, but it was a situation that we were in, and the sports science team helped us get through that period brilliantly. But this is just far superior in terms of the fact that we can really get the work done with energy, with enthusiasm, with intensity all together, and also the type of team, the morale, the bonding that takes place this time of year. The guys are working very hard, and that they're recognising each other, respecting each other's work, and all these types of things that you need as a team. They're all present. Whereas last year we felt like strangers, and it was a very odd and difficult. But yeah, far better this year. Far better.
Last year there was quite a lot of turnover in terms of the squad. This year you've got a nice core that's been around, has played in the system that you want to play. That must make life a lot easier for you as a coach, with having more players that already buy into the system, and as well, I guess, for new arrivals who are able to jump right into a group that's already familiar.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and I think we're lucky now that we have guys on the pitch that are actually helping the new guys by giving them information. There's a lot of guys actually coaching other players, because they know better than us what it's like to be in certain position on the pitch, and they're giving them the heads up already. So we're really hoping that we can get certain things sorted out quicker than we did last year by having like you say, the experience on the pitch, and the guys have been there already. So the quicker the new players can understand things and buy in, hopefully the quicker we can start to perform well on the pitch.
And last one from me, you spoke quite a lot about England, the England team earlier, and how it relates to the Dons. Whenever you're watching other teams, such as at the Euros, do you ever just switch off and watch it for enjoyment, or do you always have your coach's hat on?
Yeah, I think that no, there definitely are. There are times when I watch the game and just let it wash over me, and but there are other times, particularly when you see something that sort of resembles something that you try to work yourself, and then of course you become a bit more engaged and start to try and look at exactly what's happening. But a lot of the games in my home are on the TV when there's a 1 and a 2-year-old running around. So you watch with one eye, and therefore you kind of you sort of take more interest when you hear the volume go up because somebody's around a goal or something like this, and then the rest of the time it's playing dinosaurs and train tracks and that. So it's been brilliant. I've loved watching this Euros. I think it's been fantastic. I think the England team, of course, have been brilliant, but watching the Italians, I think, incredible, and even I'm really enjoy watching Spain. I think they've been fantastic, even though they get criticised a lot. And yeah, so many of the games have been really interesting. But yeah, there are certainly some that I've just let wash over me.